So Photoshop added some AI elements to their software that we're going to take a look at today, and they mainly added two different things, which is the sky replacement, which is actually super useful, and they also added this thing called neural filters, which is we'll get into later. But first, let's take a look at the new added sky replacement tool. And to do that, first open up your image, which we got right here is just a standard, real estate photo that I took. And if it's a okay image, but if you are not totally happy with the background, I mean the sky, which the sky in this picture is all right, but if you want to change it, all you have to do now is you just go to edit, then sky replacement, and then you just pick a sky, and then it does it automatically. Let's see how it does it, and boom, that's all you have to do now. Which this thing I absolutely love. I almost bought the Luminar AI software, which does this thing also. But now that it's in Photoshop, I'm really happy with it because sky replacement is one of those things that are pretty hard to do. If you never tried it, just try it. It's really hard to do, and even if you're good at it, it either takes too much time in order to do it, and or it just doesn't look that good. At least from my experience, I always been bad at it. But this thing is amazing, and it's not just that it replaces the sky; it also changes the colors and the image also. So depending on the mood you want to go for, you can completely change the skies. Like we get the sunset right here that we picked. Here we can put a rainbow behind it. There we go. We got a rainbow now. I mean, this is amazing. Look at this. You can just put some clouds behind it, and it works perfectly well. I mean, this is incredible. Wow. It's honestly amazing, as you can see. The only thing that I didn't notice is a problem with it is that there's no blurring option. At least from like this part of the software. Like for example, if we shot a picture like this, the sky wasn't the sky just wouldn't be perfectly in focus, so since we have the foreground in focus. And from here you can also change settings, like you can change shift edge to change where the picture's blending it, but I would just leave that at default. Which is at 0. Ah. Alright, kitty. Sorry, my cat's like, what are you doing, Jojo? Sit down. You can change the brightness, temperature, depending on your scene, you're gonna have to change those things. And you can also change the foreground lighting and darkness also. So depending on what the picture is, you can do a lot of different things with it. And honestly, this looks pretty damn good. First of all, let me keep this at a 0. But honestly, this thing does a really great job. If I try to do this like myself, I mean, I would not be able to do it, especially like where these trees are. Like it does a really good job of just blending it in. Yeah, look at that. It looks like there's God rays coming through it. I mean, this looks like a natural picture. Here, we can also, it like creates it in this folder so you can like adjust things differently from it. So you can turn it on and off, and honestly you can't even like tell that it's been replaced. It's pretty amazing. But one thing that I noticed that doesn't do is that it keeps the background perfectly in focus, which doesn't make sense because if you actually took this image, the foreground would be in focus and then the background would not be in focus. So what you can do is you can just open up this folder that's where it is, and you click on the sky. Then you can just go to filter and then blur, and then just go to Gaussian blur, or however you say it, and then you can just add a little bit of blurriness to it, like I would say like 5.0 works well. That way it looks more natural. So it's pretty amazing. Here, let's open up a couple other more pictures, see how it is. Alright, let's try something difficult now. Let's say you took a wildlife picture and the bird did like the most amazing pose ever, but then the sky is just gray and boring like in this picture. And this is not a good picture, but we're gonna try replacing the sky in this picture and see how it looks. Let's see if we can pick out the bird. So let's go to sky replacement again. And let's put whatever this sky is. Let's see how it does. Alright, this one looks pretty ridiculous, but let's put like a blue sky. Oh, it didn't work well. What if we shift edge? Okay, so it doesn't work that well when it comes to something more complicated like this, I guess. I don't know if it's more complicated than the trees, I guess, but I guess with the trees there's more room for error. But the technology is not really there. But let's try. I believe we can also here. Let's put this sunset picture up there. That looks real, right, guys? But there's also a brush tool that you can use. So I'm guessing with the brush tool you can erase stuff out, which is not really working that well. Am I using this wrong? But it is an interesting software. So I guess for like wildlife stuff like this, it's not gonna work that well. And as you can see, the background's perfectly in focus, so that doesn't really make sense either. But again, we can just click on the sky and then gauge and blur. But we would have to blur a lot actually for a picture like this to make sense. We'd probably have to go like this or something. But this looks pretty ridiculous. But for real estate stuff, it works pretty well. Honestly, for real estate, I would definitely use the sky replacement tool. So for sky replacement, this gets a pass from me. Now we're gonna take a look at the other thing, which is the neural filter. So let me find a picture of myself, and then we'll take a look. All right, so right here we got a picture of myself. I look beautiful as always, and we're gonna go to filter and then neural filter. All right, this is where the fun begins, guys. And as you can see, one thing you might have noticed about this picture is that I look a little sad. You know, I don't like that. Let's, in the wise words of the Joker, let's put a smile on that face. So if we click right here, the beta filters, we can go to Smart Portrait. Now this is a pretty scary part of the software right here, because it doesn't work well. So as you can see, I look pretty sad in this picture, so why don't we just make ourselves really happy? And oh my god, what is that? Oh no. Oh. See, like, the interesting thing is that, though, like, the eyes actually look kind of happy. Like, this eye looks a little messed up, but if we just look at, like, this eye right here, you might be like, oh, that's just a happy person. I mean, the smile is obviously terrifyingly bad, but this is, like, the first implementation of this software. So, I don't know, guys. Like, I mean, this could be something one day. I mean, it will eventually be, when the AI will rule over us, and then everyone will have fake smiles on their face. But right now, I mean, this is terrible. But we could get some of this stuff. This is just on beta. Maybe when it's fully released, it'll actually work. And that, see, like, look, if we were to just look at one side of this image, this eye got messed up. I don't know why it's like messing up the one eye. But if we just look at this one, just half of the face, honestly, it doesn't look that bad. Kind of just looks like an upset person. But this part of the software doesn't really work that well. I mean, there's just a bunch of different stuff they added in, but this one doesn't really work that well. And then they added like some other stuff, like you can make yourself look old. And yeah, it doesn't really work that well. I mean, maybe if this was like a evenly lit image, it would work better, but the technology is getting there. That's the scary part, I guess. What is gaze? Let's do 50 gaze. Now this is a creepy one. You can change the direction of your head. Yeah, but I don't. I mean, I think it just changed like the direction of my chromosomes. I mean, but okay, that's smart portrait. But let's take a look at skin smoothing, because this one I think is actually useful. Because when it comes to shooting any female models or clients, you have to do some skin smoothing, especially if you're using a high megapixel camera like I do. Like I use the Sony A7R III, which is a 42 megapixel camera. With a camera like that, you have to do some skin smoothing if you're shooting females, or else they'll just look terrible. And as you can see, this already did some, and skin looks actually pretty good. It looks pretty smooth. Here we can turn it off. Here, let me just turn it off. This is how I looked before. And this is how I look with the filter on. Assuming so we can get a better understanding. It works pretty well. Definitely makes smooth look a lot more pleasing. And let's max the smoothness. Just make it super smooth. And there we go. I'm a baby now. Again, this is, I mean, if you use it a little bit, it's actually a pretty good implementation. I would definitely use this. You can even do makeup transfer. Oh god. We can transfer makeup. So I downloaded just a random picture of a makeup. Just on my desktop, JPEG. Just a random makeup picture that I found. And boom. Things that I do have makeup, but it's like pinkish. So I don't think it did it. I don't think it like took the picture properly, but it does look like I'm wearing makeup. It just messed up my eye right here. And I'm guessing that's because of the lighting. But again, since this is AI, this is just gonna keep getting better and better, you know, while the software improves and gets more data fed into it. But they have more stuff coming out in the future, like photo restoration, dust and scratches, noise reduction, which I'm very interested in. Here, I'll submit that. Face cleanup, which is supposed to remove like your glasses, shadows, and enchant portraits. I don't know. I'm excited to try it out. Photos to scratch. I mean, sketch to portrait. I mean, it's pretty incredible what they're coming out with in the future. But anyways, guys, that's gonna be it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and let me know in the comments how you're feeling about this new AI implementations that they're adding into both photography and videography. But anyways, guys, I make videos every single week, so make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.